Hello,
Hello, good morning, everyone.
or good afternoon, or evening, or wherever you are, or yeah, whenever you're watching. But now we are in the morning,
Yes,
and yeah, just go. Let's go straight to the topic. So, which one? Like, I wrote a few things, well, two things to you.
let me go back. Thinking about you said to me. Thinking about trackable qualities. The term came from the choreographic coding lab. You shared that with me at some point. I think I'm not interested in inherent qualities to be tracked. I don't know what you mean. Wait, but let me finish.
Yeah,
So you say like I think I'm not interested in inherent qualities to be tracked, but rather elements that become quality by being tracked. That's very interesting. But if you can maybe
elaborate.
extend yourself a bit more when you said you are not interested in inherent qualities.
Yeah. I don't know how to start because so basically yesterday I was just playing with Peacemaker from Motionbank,
Hmm.
which basically you can place different videos and annotate. And the original idea is that you have different views of the same rehearsal or performance with a different angles with cameras, and they're like synchronized. So if you want to go to scene one or whatever, you annotate, you can just click on it, and then the videos will jump to that scene. And you can also combine like movement, like motion tracking and stuff. So um anyways, how do I say, it's about like understanding a dance piece or rehearsal from different viewpoints, but
Yeah.
it's in a single timeline. But I was using it in a different way, so that I just randomly put like a few videos from the practices and just made some annotations at 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and so on. So that if you just click on it, then they're not in the same timeline, but I have many videos that jump to that playback position. So
Okay, let me try to see if I understand. So what you did is like you put different sessions that we have, and then just you put them all in the playback at certain point.
yeah, so
Ah, okay, I see.
so you can
Yeah.
just see 20 minutes after started for from the past practices. And then this was something I
Wow.
was doing, and then I actually started developing on my own because that gives more freedom, and that's something I want to work today, to create a playback of different videos.
Hmm.
And then I started to think like this itself gives interesting perspective, right? Because we see something that's no longer in the same time, but in a way, it's the same time because that's how we frame the practice, and that's something we start to like, in a way, we invent, and that's not something that we can see by like tracking our bodies or tracking something from the practice itself, more like a relation between different practices. Then I started to think like what else can be added to the practice. And like I think like what Motionbank does, like movement tracking, like the motion capture, like detecting, like tracking the position of each body parts, that doesn't really add to what we do. Maybe it does, but I think that's not really interesting. But what if we track like what you can get from the computer, for example, like how much CPU you are using, or RAM, or even like keystroke or whatever, these things that we can log, or mouse movement
Yeah,
and stuff. Because I think
I see.
that gives more, or like maybe window positions. I don't know if that's possible, that would add something to the practice. And then I wrote you this message because what I wrote. Okay, so I think I'm not interested in inherent qualities to be tracked. That's something is I mean by what the trackable qualities originally refers to refer to. That's like the movement, like what the movement is, or is the movement soft or rigid, or like the quality coming from the mover's perspective. And
Yeah.
I think this idea was that because we only see the position of like what the computer sees is the position of body parts, for example, or velocity, but these numerical values, and you cannot get if it's, let's say, soft or is it fluid. And the idea was that how can we understand or not understand these qualities by tracking movements. But then I was like, that's really, how do I say, imperative. Like it's really like top down in a sense that it's like the surgeon idea that we had, that we are like the, like we do the operation on the dancing body.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That already creates separation of the digital part, the technological part, and the dance.
Yeah.
um, but then, like how I was thinking about mixing these different videos, jumping between different playback or tracking computer itself, is probably something useless in a sense of the mover, because it has nothing to do with the body in a way.
You mean tracking the non-dancing things that normally you are tracking when you try to track the body in a dance context?
Right, like you wouldn't care how much CPU you're using,
No, of
or
course not.
what's these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for our practice, it's something that can be added, and that may be more useful than tracking the bodies.
Yeah.
And that's like the elements that I said,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I see
like
now
it's
how you.
something that we can track or record, and or the playback of the video itself, like 10 minutes after the practice, 20 minutes, these things that normally
No.
doesn't make sense. I mean, okay, choreography wise maybe it makes sense, but let's say CPU or how many windows you're open, this kind of thing that start to make sense in our practice. And if we archive, like in an archival purpose, or like not just archiving but creating something new out of the archive, that's something like like what we wrote in the proposal. And also
Mm.
we talked about, anyways, like I'm just, yeah, because we talked about your presentation, that we might do like 1 day streaming, but actually like we recorded in advance or something,
Ah, yeah.
and just
Yeah. Yeah.
mix with play with that playback and our bodies like in real life. I mean the live.
Mhm.
So yeah, like I just started thinking that this could be something we can focus, not, yeah, like focus a little bit and see what we can do. And that just like maybe there are some things that we've been ignoring, but it could be used, or not
Yeah.
used but give life or birth to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. Um, I have to say that I'm trying to think like how I still, because I think going back to this idea of life and death, then is if we agree that we are alive during the practice, in that context, that the elements are alive, that we are alive, and the practice is alive during that context, I will say that any element that we use, it must be alive during the, I mean, it will count that is part of the practice during the practice. Um, that said, for instance, if you use playbacks, like as we do sometimes, like it's not that we cannot record the past because we can use it, but but we can use it in the practice. So in the present, things from the past. Um, but but yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is more that then I will take care, or like would like to think on how not to use archiving of data just in just for, because of the quality of the past in there in the data. um Saying that I think there will be the straightforward way to use data. I think will be if somehow we can track, let's say, use this somehow this how they call, like, trackable qualities that I think I like. I think is it suits the name. So in somehow we used some of these trackable qualities. I think the straightforward to make it work during the within the concept will be live. um, but that doesn't mean that we cannot, that it doesn't mean that we cannot use pre-recorded data. We can use pre-recorded data, or data that we have used somehow. um, but yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to share more is like I will have this concern of like, to not let the, because what the danger that I see with the data is, since the data it can be so first like overwhelmed, because can be so much of data that it might take over of what we do. um, so it's more like kind of seen from that perspective.
I
um,
see.
but I think that would be very, very interesting. It just
Yeah.
it's a completely, it's a really low level of element, which I think is very, very, very nice.
Yeah, one thing like I was thinking is because I was working with the Windows in the last sessions, and I started to think like, what if like I record the position of the windows, and then because I was looking at the YouTube API yesterday, like you can embed videos and you can set the playback position with the code, so you can just like say after you start the video, after 10 seconds you just like skip to a certain position or go
Right.
back to a certain position with playback speed of 2 times faster or something,
Yeah.
that you can easily do. And yeah, I was thinking like if I record all the window position, then I can do something like modify the CSS so that the window
It's-
stays there.
Oh, that,
The whole thing moves. Something like that would be
oh yeah,
really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
And this is like,
That makes sense. That
yeah,
makes a
this,
lot of.
yeah, because this is like I was thinking not just an archival purpose, but I wanted to use like how I can use the archive in the practice. Like I think it's really nice to think that way. So
Mm.
it's not like having nice shelf to store the data, but like where to put the data and play with it. And that's,
And actually it makes so much sense in the sense of like, in that sense, like the archiving is not only for people to go and click and watch, but it's just actually something that we actively use. So it's like giving agency to this thing to come back in different times that is not the- like, for instance, like, yeah, and it happens often. Then the last time we end up using the voice of a chat. Yeah, yeah, that was the sound that we used. You remember? In the last practice, we used a chat that we have.
that we are keep laughing.
Yeah. And that was not, and that was just like, it was just something that it came out. So and it felt good because it was us. So it's part of the archiving. So it goes in the same direction.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, it's like going against like not just Motionbank, but like kind of purifying our body on the digital media, but we just keep contaminating what's
Yeah, yeah,
there.
I
But
see what
actually,
you mean.
that's how we can like blend ourselves into the medium.
This is this thing that you use for the Windows is like a JavaScript framework or what is it?
Yeah, it's just a standard JavaScript API.
Mm.
But I need to find a way to really nicely record it and allow them to break, because I will, I will be still coding during the practice. So whatever can happen, I don't want to, like, the fear is that I don't want to have program that I have to run and like not to touch it for the whole practice and try to keep it stable and working all the time. Like that's not going to work. I know that it's not going to work. That like that idea is not going to work because it
Yeah.
fails. And it also gives me so much pressure that,
Yes,
okay,
it will
I
give you
should not
pressure.
touch this. If I
Yes.
restart this, it's going to be messed up. So I need
And
to
it will,
make
in
it
a way, it will go in again against the spirit of the practice.
right.
Like it, yeah, it will give you stress. Yeah,
It's a
true.
bit like the hubs that just keep breaking. Anyways,
Yeah,
the ghost.
yeah. See, but
Um,
okay, now I see what you mean, what you meant, and yeah, definitely, yeah, I think it's a very very interesting thought.
yeah.
Like it's very interesting, like how I mean, as well, technically, like in terms as well of applications of things, like depending of because it just gives like technically wise, it gives so much challenge. But at the same time, since what we do, I mean, what I think is that so far that um the complexity of what we do, it should not get so much perceived in the practice. That's what I think right now.
So much
Like
what?
for co- uh, the complexity of what we do, it should not get perceived like showed up in what we do. Let's say if you really will like to start like working with a JavaScript framework or something like that, it's just uh, like for instance, like I know myself that it will take me more time to get used to that or something. So what I'm saying is that at this point, because I don't understand yet what does that mean actually, like that complexity, that intensity in the practice itself, the frustration, like what I'm saying is like the frustration within the elements that we work so far is working.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have your frustration because you have a flow of work. I have my frustration toward BDMX or Hydra or some things. So there's a reiterative process of frustration with the elements. That so far it seems that it comes and goes and in certain way. So what I'm thinking is using other frameworks, and then allowing the frustration, I mean knowing that those things might be a fucked up, like it might be a different thing. That is not that we cannot do it, but it's just something that we have to be conscious that okay, now we're gonna try this. We can try it even today. Now we can try, like, so that we said now we're trying this, so we know that, I mean, yeah, you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
No, but in this sense, like to me, it really helps the how we do it now with the development and practice, because I clearly separate, the development and maybe first, 30 minutes of the practice is like I try to allow myself to spend time, sit down and code, which
Mm,
I don't want in the performance or practice. But like after a certain time in the practice, I will not do it. If it's something that is keep breaking, that I will be stressed, then I will not use it. And that's really clear to me. So that like I
yeah.
really like keep myself safe in a sense,
I
safe
see.
safe from the technology.
I see what you mean. I mean, I think definitely is like a very, very interesting thing. Uh, it's a new, if you think like as a soup, like the practice is like a new thing to put in the soup. And I like it because already, I mean, you share, I mean, since background of the practice comes uh, from what you propose it as from the framework of the choreographic coding lab. Um, so it is interesting, like then to, I mean, it's not away, it's not away from this trackable qualities that the motion bank proposes, and yet it's different.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's it's the same how to say, like, process as like how we liberate our bodies by using the glitches. But I think it's something that I had in my mind as a reference, is trackable qualities or whatever, tracking things that they've been doing, and we've been like not conscious about it. We were just doing whatever that we like to do. But it's not that we're just trying to do something crazy, but we always have like good reference of what others are doing, and slowly we start to like find ourselves like where we're standing with regard to all these other things. And now it becomes really interesting that like in a way, like I feel more secure that it's not really like, it's still like the practice itself, the concept is really vulnerable, but I don't really feel anymore like what I don't know what we are doing. But it's okay that we don't know what we're doing, but still
Mhm.
like we see what others are doing, and
Yeah,
that's really cool. And it's, we came really far with this.
I think this that you mentioned is very relevant. Like, it's like medicine, or it's like things in general, but in medicine as well, I guess, because you said about the surgeon, and technology also, that if, although what we do is, so we have a framework, but we are in a context, then you need to keep up updating what is happening in the world, right? Otherwise, just you end up getting in one bubble, and I think that's not the purpose. So I think this idea of like trying to keep an eye of what other ones are doing, and since our framework is very relaxed, it's things are super welcome to come and just test and try it. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but I think it's nice if we can like not perform, but somehow put this like our like have like I want to have like a snapshot of where we are right now. Like maybe it's a writing, maybe it's a more structured chat, or it's just a chat like what we do, but more conscious about like, or maybe this is actually a snapshot. I mean, it is, but like I just wanted to have a nice view of like where we are at some point to um, so that we can look back. I mean, of course, we can just look at each chat in the past, but let's say like they're like more like a sketches. So it would be nice to have it somewhere. I don't know, just proposing.
yeah, good to me, good to me.
So I think,
Maybe we could close the
yeah,
chat.
yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Please, whatever.
Like, like us very much.
Oops, I was about to end meeting. Stop recording.